Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into something pretty fascinating.
Always. What are we exploring today?
Today, it's all about Ikigai. That Japanese concept everyone's talking about, the one that's supposed to be the secret to a long, happy life.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
We're going to really try to unpack it.
Sounds good.
And our main source material is this book called Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life.
Oh, so we're going straight to the source.
Straight to the source.
Awesome.
So to kick things off, maybe we can start by explaining what Ikigai actually is, for people who might not be familiar with it.
Okay, so Ikigai, it's often translated as like a reason for being.
Okay, a reason for being.
Is it that thing that gets you out of bed in the morning?
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about Ikigai is that unlike the Western idea of a dream job,
Right.
it's not just about work.
Oh, interesting.
It's about finding joy in everything you do, even the little things.
Oh, it's more than just a passion project. It's like woven into your whole approach to life.
Right.
Okay, got it.
And one place that really embodies this idea is Okinawa, Japan.
Okinawa.
Okay.
You've probably heard of blue zones?
Yeah.
It's one of them.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of blue zones. But remind me what makes them so unique. Is it just the environment?
It's more than just location.
Yeah.
The book points out that Okinawans have a different way of thinking about life.
Okay.
They don't even have a word for retirement. They just keep doing what they enjoy, staying active, and contributing to their communities.
Wow. So no sitting on the porch and yelling at kids to get off the lawn.
Not exactly. They have these groups called moai.
Moai.
They're basically lifelong friends
Okay.
that provide a constant support network.
Okay, I see.
They meet regularly, share meals, and just enjoy each other's company.
Yeah.
This kind of social interaction is crucial for well-being.
Yeah, it makes sense. We're social creatures by nature. Having a strong community can definitely enrich life.
And speaking of Okinawans, the book actually distilled what they learned from them into the 10 rules of Ikigai, right?
Yes. Some of them are surprisingly simple.
Like what?
Like, stay active. Never retire, which we've already talked about. It's about having something to look forward to no matter how small.
So it's not necessarily about working until you drop, but more about having something that keeps you engaged and active, a reason to get up in the morning.
Precisely. Another rule that really resonated with me was take it slow.
What's up? Take it slow.
Okinawans, they prioritize quality of life over the hustle and bustle.
I like that. That's definitely something we could all use a little more of in today's fast-paced world.
Absolutely. They even practice hara hachibu, the 80% rule of eating.
Hara hachibu, okay.
It's about listening to your body and stopping when you feel satisfied, not stuffed.
Okay.
This helps prevent overeating and promotes mindful eating habits.
That's fascinating. It's a totally different way of thinking about food compared to how we're often encouraged to eat here.
It definitely highlights their focus on balance and moderation in all aspects of life. And speaking of balance, the book also explores this idea of flow.
Flow. Isn't that state where you're so absorbed in something that you lose track of time?
Exactly. The book connects flow to Ikigai, suggesting that when you pursue what truly motivates you, you're more likely to experience these flow states. This guy, Csikszentmihalyi, he actually coined the term.
Okay.
Spent years researching this phenomenon.
Okay.
He found that people in flow, they're completely focused, energized, and have a heightened sense of clarity and purpose.
So it's about finding those activities that light us up and make us lose ourselves in the moment.
Right. But it's not just about doing whatever feels good.
Right.
There are conditions that make flow more likely.
Okay.
One of the most important is choosing tasks that are challenging but not so difficult that they become frustrating.
It's like finding that sweet spot where your skills are being used, but you're also learning and growing too easy, and you get bored too hard, and you get discouraged.
Exactly. And one intriguing example the book gives is of an elevator operator who found flow in her seemingly mundane job.
An elevator operator.
Yeah. By focusing on the small details of each interaction, like greeting passengers with a smile, ensuring a smooth ride, she turned her job into a series of microflow experiences.
That's a great example of how mindset can make all the difference. Finding meaning in the everyday, even in jobs that might not seem exciting at first glance. It's about taking pride in your work no matter what you do.
Exactly. And she likely created little challenges for herself within each interaction, like remembering a passenger's floor or making small talk to brighten their day. That sense of mastery, however small, contributes to the flow experience.
So Ikigai isn't about chasing big dreams all the time, but also about finding joy in those everyday moments.
Precisely. And this leads us to the concept of resilience, another key aspect of Ikigai.
Resilience, that ability to bounce back from setbacks.
Right, and there's a Japanese proverb that perfectly captures this spirit. Nana korobi yaoki.
Which means
fall 7 times, rise 8.
I love that. It speaks to that never give up attitude that seems to be at the heart of Ikigai. But how does this tie back to finding your purpose?
Well, the book explains that having a strong sense of purpose, that Ikigai can help people overcome challenges, it gives them a reason to keep going even when things get tough.
So it's like having an internal compass that guides you through difficult times.
Exactly. And this brings us to the idea of wabi-sabi.
Wabi-sabi. That rings a bell, but I can't quite place it.
It's a Japanese aesthetic that embraces imperfection and transience, finding beauty in the cracks and the flaws, accepting the impermanence of all things.
Ah, I see. So like appreciating the beauty of a chipped teacup or a weathered wooden beam.
Exactly. And the book suggests that embracing this wabi-sabi mindset can actually help build resilience. It's about accepting that life isn't perfect, there will be challenges, and finding beauty in the journey, flaws and all.
So instead of striving for some unattainable ideal of perfection, we can find peace and strength in accepting things as they are, embracing the imperfections.
Precisely. And this ties into the idea of antifragility, which goes beyond resilience.
Antifragility, is that like being super resilient?
It's more than that. It's not just about withstanding shocks, but actually becoming stronger because of them.
So kind of like a muscle that gets stronger after being worked out.
More like the mythical Hydra.
The Hydra, the one where if you cut off its head, 2 more grow back. That doesn't sound very practical.
It's an analogy. The idea is that anti-fragile systems actually benefit from disorder and stress. They adapt and grow stronger through challenges.
Okay, I'm starting to see the connection.
Yeah.
So how do we cultivate this Hydra-like ability in our own lives?
Well, the book draws on the work of Nassim Nicholas Taleb, who popularized the concept of anti-fragility. One key principle is to create redundancies in your life.
Redundancies, you mean like having backup plans?
Exactly. Instead of relying on a single source of income, explore side hustles or hobbies that could generate income. It's about diversifying your sources of support.
So not putting all your eggs in one basket, spreading your risk.
Precisely. That way, if one area of your life takes a hit, you have other areas to fall back on. And the same principle applies to friendships, interests, even your skills.
Interesting. So instead of specializing in one thing, it's actually better to be more well-rounded and have a variety of interests and skills.
In a way, yes. It's about building a more robust and adaptable life.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all ties together. Redundancy helps you weather the storms.
Right. And the book also suggests taking a balanced approach to risk.
So not being reckless, but also not being afraid to step outside your comfort zone.
Exactly. Bet conservatively in areas where security is essential, like your primary income or health. But take calculated risks in areas where growth is possible, like learning new skills or exploring new hobbies.
So finding that balance between stability and exploration. I like that. What's the final piece of the anti-fragility puzzle?
Eliminating sources of fragility.
Sounds intense, but I guess it makes sense. If something is making you vulnerable, it's best to let it go. But how do we even identify those sources of fragility?
It requires taking a close look at your life and habits. Identify things that drain your energy, cause unnecessary stress, or hinder your growth. These could be negative relationships, unhealthy habits, or even just clutter in your environment.
So anything that weighs you down or holds you back.
Yeah.
Time for a good spring cleaning, both physically and mentally.
Exactly. It's about creating a life that supports your well-being and growth both now and in the future.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Ikigai blue zones, flow resilience, even anti-fragility. It's amazing how these ideas all connect to create a framework for a fulfilling and meaningful life.
Indeed. And we've only scratched the surface.
That's right. There's still so much more to explore.
In the next part of our deep dive, we'll go beyond the philosophy and look at some specific examples of how people are living. Ikigai drawing on the stories and insights from the book. So you know how we were talking about Ikigai being kind of theoretical?
Yeah.
Well, what I love is how the book brings it to life through real stories.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more relatable, right?
Yeah, totally. Like, it's one thing to talk about finding joy in everyday life, but actually seeing how people are doing it, it's incredibly inspiring.
For sure.
Like, for example, there's this woman, Ushi Okushima.
Okushima. Okay.
She's 100 years old, and guess what? She finds her Ikigai in weaving.
Weaving.
Wow.
Yeah, she's been doing it for like 80 years.
80 years. That's amazing.
It's incredible, right?
And I imagine it's not just about the craft itself. It's got to be something deeper.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's the connection to her heritage, the sense of purpose she gets from preserving these traditional techniques.
That's like her Ikigai is woven into the fabric of her life, literally and figuratively.
Exactly. And it's not just about her.
Yeah.
You know, she passes on her knowledge to younger generations.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so her Ikigai ripples outward, enriching her community and keeping those traditions alive.
I love that. Okay, so we have a weaver. Let's see who else is in the book.
Oh, there's this karate master, Shikichi Uehara.
A karate master. How old is he? He's 97 and still teaching.
Right.
Attributes his vitality to his lifelong practice.
Wow, 97. That's incredible. So is it just the physical exercise for him?
It's more than that. It's the discipline, the constant learning, the connection to something bigger than himself.
It sounds like karate isn't just something he does. It's part of who he is. It's his Ikigai.
Precisely. And his story shows us that Ikigai can be a journey of lifelong growth and mastery.
It's never too late, right?
Never too late. No matter your age or what you've done in the past, there's always something out there that can ignite your passion.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired. Now let's shift gears a bit. We've touched on the Okinawan diet and how it plays a role in their longevity. What makes it so unique?
Well, first off, it's mainly plant-based. Lots of fresh seasonal ingredients.
Okay, so lots of veggies, fruits, that sort of thing.
Exactly. They love their sweet potatoes, seaweed, leafy greens, all packed with good stuff.
So it's not about deprivation. It's about choosing foods that nourish your body.
Right. And they do eat tofu for protein and some fish for those omega-3s.
Makes sense. And of course, they practice hara hachibu to avoid overeating.
Can't forget that. It's really a holistic approach, you know? Focusing on quality, variety, portion size.
It's about enjoying your food, but also being mindful of what you're putting into your body.
And how you eat it, too. They really take their time, savor each bite, appreciate the flavors.
It sounds like meal times are more than just refueling. It's a whole experience.
Definitely. Okay, but let's be real. Life isn't always sunshine and delicious food. We all face tough times. How does this Ikigai thing help us with that?
That's the big question, right?
That's where resilience comes in. And the book even takes it a step further with antifragility.
Oh, right, the Hydra. But to be honest, the idea of intentionally stressing myself out to become stronger doesn't sound that appealing.
Hey, I get it. It's not about seeking out huge stressors, though. It's more about embracing small challenges that push you a little.
It's like taking on a new project at work, learning a new skill.
Exactly. Those little things actually help build resilience, like lifting weights builds muscle.
Okay, so it's about gradually exposing ourselves to challenges to grow stronger. Got it. So not avoiding stress completely, but not going overboard either.
You got it. And remember those redundancies we were talking about?
The backup plans and spreading the risk.
Yep. Those act as a buffer against unforeseen challenges.
Right, like having a safety net.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of your support network.
Like those Okinawan Moais.
Precisely. Having people you can rely on can make a world of difference when you're facing tough times.
It's like having a built-in cheer squad.
And remember, antifragility isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving. It's about using challenges to learn, grow, and become stronger.
It's like turning those setbacks into stepping stones.
Exactly. And that constant growth and learning, that's a big part of Ikigai.
I'm seeing how all these pieces fit together now. Finding your purpose, building resilience, embracing those little challenges. It's a journey.
It is. And in the next part, we'll go beyond the theory and explore some practical techniques for actually applying these Ikigai principles in your own life.
Okay, so we've talked the talk. Now let's walk the walk.
Yeah.
How can we actually bring Ikigai into our lives?
That's the million-dollar question, right? It's easy to like the idea, but how do we make it a reality?
Exactly. So where do we even begin?
Well, the book emphasizes staying active and engaged. Remember the whole never retire thing.
Right, but not all of us are ready to quit our jobs just yet. So how do we apply that principle in our everyday lives?
It's not about running a marathon every day. It's about finding little ways to move your body and keep your mind sharp.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Take the stairs instead of the elevator walk, or bike to work if you can. Little things like that.
So just being more conscious of how much we're moving throughout the day.
Exactly. Find activities you genuinely enjoy that also happen to get you moving.
Okay, so like gardening, dancing, taking the dog for a walk.
Exactly. It all counts. And speaking of small changes, let's talk about hara hachibu again, that 80% rule.
Oh yeah, I've been trying that one. It's harder than it sounds.
I know, right? We're so used to eating until we're stuffed.
Totally guilty of that.
But it's worth it to break that habit. You know, not only does it help you manage your weight, but it also lets you really taste your food.
And avoid that food coma afterwards.
Right. So it's not just about how much you eat, but how you eat.
Mindful eating. Yeah, that's a big part of Ikigai too, right?
Huge. Okay, so I've got movement, mindful eating. What else? Let's talk about flow.
Ah, yes. Flow, being in the zone, that feeling is incredible. But is it something you can just create whenever you want?
Well, not exactly, but you can set yourself up for it.
How do you do that?
Remember those conditions we were talking about? Choosing activities that you're good at that challenge you just enough?
Right. Finding that sweet spot where you're engaged but not overwhelmed.
Exactly. So what are the things you do that make you lose track of time? What makes those experiences so captivating?
Interesting. So it's about figuring out what brings us into that flow state and doing more of that.
And don't be afraid to try new things. You might surprise yourself.
Good point. It's all about exploration. And of course, we can't forget about social connection.
Right. Those Okinawan Moais, they're onto something. Having those strong relationships makes a huge difference.
It's so easy to get caught up in the busyness of life and forget to nurture those connections.
I know, but it's so important. Make time for the people who matter most. Join a club volunteer. Even just being kind to strangers can make you feel more connected.
It's about creating that sense of belonging and community. That's a key ingredient for a long and happy life.
Absolutely. And remember, the Ikigai journey is different for everyone.
There's no one right way to do it. It's about finding what truly resonates with you.
Exactly. So to all our listeners out there, we encourage you to find your own Ikigai. Explore those passions, nurture your connections, find joy in the little things.
And remember, fall 7 times, rise 8.
Embrace the challenges, celebrate the victories, and keep moving forward.
Beautifully said. That's all the time we have for today. But keep seeking, keep growing, and keep living your Ikigai.